Hi,
Well, hello.
how are you, Bob?
I'm good.
Okay, that's wonderful. So we're going to do a little bit of a CBT today. Are you familiar with that?
No, not at all.
Okay, so it's cognitive behavioral therapy. Before we dive into that, it's basically just a fancy way of saying your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, and how they all come together. Okay.
Okay.
So before we dive into that, there's a couple of things I have to tell you. As a regulated healthcare professional, I'm governed by the Mental Health Act. What this means is that I will be confidential. Everything you say to me will be in the utmost of privacy. It will stay between us. But there are a couple times when this may have to be breached.
Mm.
Okay. So the first is if you're in imminent risk of harming yourself or another person. The second is if you are a child, which you obviously are not, or you know a child that's in need of protection. If you report any sexual abuse that has happened by a regulated healthcare professional, I have to let them know as well. Also, pursuant to a subpoena, a court order, or a sworn testimony. Okay. And the fifth and final is elder abuse. If you know anyone experiencing elder abuse, if you've directly witnessed it, anything like that.
Makes sense?
Okay. Any questions in regard to that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough. So, what brings you here today, Bob?
Well, I guess my drinking has gotten me in some trouble. DUI, most recently, and that's not good. So I need my license, obviously. So, yeah, now here I am.
Okay. Fair enough. And what made you make the step to come here today?
Well, I didn't see any other choice, really. Um, you know, being this close to losing your license, you better do something right, or got a family to support. Can't lose my job. So here I am.
Fair enough. So, you mentioned you're drinking. Is that something new for you?
No, no, it's been a while now. Something I never thought it'd be a problem, but it seems to be a problem somehow. And now after this incident, it's kind of hard to deny.
I can understand that. Tell me more about your kids, your
Ah,
family.
yes, my wife at home and my two sons, Jim and Bob, and they're teenagers, so that's always fun too. Yes, I was one once.
Me too.
I had a lot of fun. So
Me too, believe
they're
it or
they're
not.
they're they're trying to have fun. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting getting through all that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just the four of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's my family.
Okay. So you brought up your drinking, Bob. I'm just taking notes here. If you see me
Okay.
making notes, it's just
Yep.
on a notepad. I'm just, you want to quit your drinking.
Yes. Well, I don't know if I want to quit, but it's kind of a problem. So maybe I need. I don't know if I have to. I don't know if I have a problem or if I need to drink less, but it's causing some issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you drink?
I feel great. Can't wait to get home after work and crack open a cold one. And I just can't wait. But I seem to drink too much sometimes. Well, that's what I'm told.
And what makes you feel great about it?
I have no idea. It's just it's a nice release. Nice vent, nice way to feel something.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a release from what would you say?
Oh, um, I don't know. Maybe just the mundane daily activities. Over and over. It's nice to have something to come home to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what makes your daily activities mundane? Why did you choose the word mundane?
Ooh. Hmm. Well, I don't know. I've been just working at the same place for a long time. I'm a manager in my store, and um, just been there a long time. Been married a long time. I had kids a long time. Don't do much of anything else anymore.
Hmm.
Pretty much just always going home for that drink, and one turns into two, and so
Why do
on and
you
so on.
think that is?
I really don't know. Just something to pass the time, something to get me through the tough, you know, emotions or days or feelings. Not real quite sure how to describe it.
So, how do you feel before you have that drink? How do you feel about that drink?
That I just need to hurry up and get home and have it. Um,
So, you feel like you
I'm not
need
really
it.
feeling anything until just that I know I need to. The day's over. It's time to go home. Have dinner, crack open a cold one. That's all I'm really thinking about.
Okay. So, during your day, do you find that's typically at work that you feel like that?
Yes.
Okay. So, during your work day, is there anything you can think of throughout your work day that kind of triggers that emotion of needing to get home to that drink?
Hmm. It's a very good question. Is there a trigger? I really don't know. It's just mostly work. Isn't that just kind of a normal thing? I guess, especially after so many years.
Yeah, it sounds like. Are you happy at your job, Bob?
um. I mean, I know my job. I'm good at my job. Been there a
Mm-hmm.
long time, but
Mm-hmm.
most days, if not all days, just can't wait to get out of there. And just heading home is not enough. I gotta go home and have a drink.
Why is heading home not enough? Why do you feel it's not enough?
It's just nothing really to do when I get home. It's hard to relax. It's hard to take it easy after a long day. There's not really anything better to do.
What makes it hard to relax?
I don't know, maybe just the thoughts surrounding what happened that day and having to go back the next day. Just thoughts about having to go back, do it over again. You know,
So you think that it's linked to your work.
yeah,
You're
and
thinking
it's
about your work the
right.
next day
Yeah, so it's just makes the night go by a little bit better, smoother. You know.
so that you're not thinking about your
Oh yeah,
work tomorrow.
right.
So when you think about a work day, if I asked you to think about a work day right now, how does it make you feel? What's the first thing that pops into your head when I ask about work?
Well, I guess I already used the word mundane. I guess that would be
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just going back to do the same thing I did the day before, and it can be kind of depressing. So it's
It
nice
makes
to.
it makes you feel depressed.
I guess that's the word for it. Yeah, maybe
So if somebody mentioned your work or asked you about work, how do you feel physically? Do you feel anything physically when they ask you about it?
exhaustion. Just yeah, just tired. Not really wanting to talk about it.
It's linked with exhaustion.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
nothing really to say.
Okay. So you mentioned your depression, Bob. Did you have your depression prior to this job, do you think?
I really don't think so because it used to be a lot better times back in the day, and it wasn't something I always struggled with. I wouldn't even call myself an alcoholic before.
Would you call yourself an alcoholic now?
I guess I'd have to, yeah. But before, not so much. I had a lot of things going on, you know, things to do, and yeah, I didn't drink as much back then. So
Okay.
yeah, it seems to be more of a now thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a huge step that you just admitted that, and then we're able to say aloud that you're an
Yeah,
alcoholic.
DUI kind of helps with that.
Well,
It kind of
kudos, because
kind of puts you in that direction.
sometimes people experience that and still aren't able to say it out
Ah,
loud. So
well, okay, not
kudos to
me
you.
then.
No, kudos to you for
Okay,
that. That is not small potatoes. That's a feat in
okay,
itself.
okay.
So saying that out loud, you said I'm an alcoholic,
Yes,
right? What does that mean?
means I just gotta get out of that situation and get home and start drinking right away and to get that feeling and I
Hmm.
get through the day and then the next
What?
the next day that's all I'm thinking about again.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think I need that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to be the best way to just, like I said, get through the mundane part of the day. Just transition to the next day. Get through you know, the boringness of it all, the exhaustion,
So what does that
the
mean?
best way to relax.
What does that say about you? What does that mean?
I guess just bored and tired, you know, and yeah, I just drink because of it and drink too much, I guess, and then kind of can get depressed about it, you know.
So what I'm trying to do right now, I'll be honest with you, is I'm trying to establish your core belief about yourself. So core belief could be something it's like deeply rooted. It might not even be something we believe all the time. It's just something that we believe about ourselves. Doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean
Mm.
it's true all the time. It means it's just kind of something there below the surface that's festering. So I'm just trying to establish what your core belief is about yourself.
About me?
You said you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You admitted that openly,
Yes.
but you're telling me you only turn to your alcohol out of boredom.
Um. Yeah. Well, not just maybe boredom, but yeah, it's in there. Mostly a lot of boredom, exhaustion, just uh, not happy about where I'm at in life. You know, just tired.
Let's talk about that. Why aren't you happy where you are in life?
I don't know. Just I just feel like nobody, understands, what it's like to be me. You know, I come home, I drink a lot. Wife doesn't really say anything. Kids got their own thing going on. I don't feel like I'm doing much in my life other than work.
So, what if that's true? What if nobody understands what it's like to be you? What does that mean?
I really don't know. That's a good question.
What does that mean? What does that say about you if nobody understands you?
I'm different. I'm
Okay,
alone.
you're different and you're alone. And what does that say? If you're different and you're alone, what does that say about you?
It's hard to understand me.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to kind of get me, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, for those around me.
Mm-hmm. So, what does that mean? If you're the one standing there who's different and who's alone and other people don't understand you?
I don't know. I have to figure it out myself.
Okay.
What I'm going to do with my day to get
Mm-hmm.
through the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, you feel different and you feel alone.
Yeah, just, like I said, nobody seems to understand, I don't feel too highly about myself as it is. So,
Interesting.
you know,
Okay. Well, we've all been there. You're not alone in that, that's for sure. But you saying that you feel different and you feel alone. You feel different and you feel alone. We started and it was boredom
right.
that led you to drink.
Yeah.
And now you feel different and you feel alone.
Yeah.
So is it possible that when you're coming home at the end of the day, you're feeling alone and lonesome?
Yeah.
So you're turning perhaps to your comfort?
Yeah, it's a big comfort because, like I said, just it's hard to talk about the day and nobody really understands anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just got to get through it my own way.
Mm-hmm.
As, depressing as it is.
So you feel stressed out.
Very,
You feel very alone
yes.
and it triggers you to drink. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so if knowing, now that we know it's when you feel stressed out or it's when you're feeling lonesome, I'm going to just ask you a few questions. So you're on the path to recovery, right?
Right.
It sounds like you're ready to, are you feeling, how confident on a 1 to 10 are you feeling that you can make a change?
In myself, I don't feel very confident at all, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know, five maybe.
Well, 5 is not so bad. That's halfway up the ladder.
Halfway
So,
down the ladder too. I'm
well,
always a half empty kind of guy.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
What? Okay, so I have a question for you. If I was your friend
yeah,
and I told you I was a 5 out of 10 confident that I can make a change, what would you say to your friend?
it's better than a zero. You're halfway in the right direction.
You are
I just don't feel like that myself. That's
you're
all.
halfway in the right.
Right.
So maybe when we're feeling like that, we're having kind of that negative
This-
self-talk towards ourselves. Think about what you would say to a friend.
That would help, yeah, because I'd be a lot better on a friend than I would be myself.
Okay, so why
Yeah.
why don't we give ourselves this kindness, this level of
Because there's too
kindness?
much going on in the head. It's just repeated over and over, and you're kind of alone with yourself. And if nobody understands, then you're hearing it so much, right? It's
Okay.
easy for a friend to come to you and be able to tell them, hey, you're halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
But to me and myself,
Mm-hmm.
in my head, it's quite difficult.
So you kind of feel like you owe the friend the kindness.
Yes.
Why don't you owe yourself that kindness?
I don't have a good answer for that.
Just think about it for a minute. Take some
Okay.
time and think about that.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll do that.
Okay. So why don't you owe yourself that kindness? If a friend is deserving of that kindness, why isn't Bob deserving of that kindness?
Maybe I don't have a good answer for that. Maybe I should. Maybe I should be. I should think of it as, hey, I'm on the road here. I should feel confident,
Absolutely.
but I don't. But I know I should
Hmm.
because of the thoughts going on in my head.
Well, a 5 out of 10
Yeah.
is halfway there, and a
Right.
5 out of 10 can always climb higher,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think already you've been really open and really honest, and I appreciate that. You've established your stressor. It sounds like it's your job in honesty, right? You've established the emotions you feel. You feel alone. And you've
Very.
established that what that triggers and that causes you to reach for the bottle, right?
Yeah.
So it's I think you're very self aware to get to that point. So kudos to you for that as well.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I definitely know it and see it. I just don't know what to do about it.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Maybe we can discuss this a little bit,
Okay.
and this might give us a better answer.
Okay.
So, if I was to ask you, your recovery is at risk. You're not going to have to give me a lot of answers. I'm going to be honest with you, Bob. When you leave here today, I'm going to give you a couple tasks to take home.
Okay.
And I'm thinking this might be a good one. You can tell me if you feel like this is something you could do
Okay.
at some point this week or as it happens along the week. I'm going to ask that you get a notepad. You can just get a plain notepad like this one and just write down my recovery is at risk when. And think about it. Like, when would you say are the times in your life your recovery is at risk? It could be my recovery is at risk when too much is going on at work and I'm overwhelmed and I need to get home for my drink. My recovery is at risk when I feel such and such is nattering at me. Anything like that. Anything that throughout the week when you're experiencing you feel your recovery is at risk, I'm going to ask you to jot it down. Does that sound like something you could do?
In the moment, yeah. Throughout the week, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
not right now, but yeah, it's something I
No, it's
think of.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. You will have the time. You know what? You can just throw a notepad in
So
your.
just write it down and.
Yeah, you're just gonna write it down and just put the date next to it.
Okay, the date. Yeah.
And what had happened. Easy peasy.
I can do that.
And then, can you think of one maybe right now? My recovery is at risk when? What do you think would be the?
I guess the big one is just when I get home and I wanna open it up and start drinking. It's just
So my recovery is at risk
when I get home.
right after work.
Right after work.
Okay.
It's the day's over. I gotta get through this somehow.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of food for thought just on that one while we're on it.
Okay.
Is there something else you could do at that time period? If that time period is
Well,
a trigger,
I really feel like I have nothing else to do, right?
why do you feel that way?
So because I really don't do much else other than that.
Okay.
It's work, home, drink.
What did you used to do?
Oh, I used to do so many great things.
Mm-hmm. Like
No,
what?
I haven't done it in a long time. Well, I used to play hockey.
Okay.
Pick up hockey games with buddies. Some couple nights a week after work, and I used to volunteer throughout the week too.
Okay.
In different things.
What's,
That's pretty much all stopped.
what sorts of things?
Oh my goodness, so many things like these special needs pick up soccer games.
Oh, okay.
It was once a week. I used to do that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that was always after work, and then sometimes my church had things going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you still active in your church?
No, not at all.
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because I go home now and I don't have the time to go out and do these things and help out anymore.
Is that recent?
A couple years now.
Okay. So you go home and you don't have the time to do these things.
Because I'm at home drinking.
Okay.
Right.
I was going to say, do we believe we don't have the time,
Right.
or is our time designated to
I guess
other
that's
things?
that's the rub, right?
Yeah.
I do have the time. If I could get away from that and do that, that would be better.
You could. So I
Could
believe,
I though?
Yes, you could.
Oh.
I believe wholeheartedly you can.
See, now sometimes I don't know if I feel like I could.
Why
like
do
I
you
said,
say
the 5.
that?
Sometimes it's like
Why do you say that?
It would just be too hard, you know. It'd be the temptation. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna go home.
Why would it be too hard?
I don't know. And then other times maybe not. You know. I don't know. It's just a lot of self doubt. You know.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you just, we're going to come back to the recovery. Remember, the recovery is at risk.
Right.
Okay. On the other side of it, what I want you to do,
Yeah.
um, I'm going to ask you, we're going to spark note that. Let me just make a note here because we're going to come back to that. This is what I want to ask you. So we're going to do my recovery is at risk when, right? Throughout the week. The other thing I would like you to do throughout the week, if possible, my recovery is strong when.
When I do get out to do these things, when I make it to the hockey game or find something to help out at instead of rushing home for that drink, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Very. You already have an answer for that.
Well,
one.
yeah. I mean, if I'm out doing those things, then I've got something to do other than drink, right?
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
To get to kind of release after that long day, you know.
Yes.
Focus on something else other than work and home life, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That was very easy for you.
If I can do it, right?
If you come there's a lot of self doubt
Right.
going on here, Bob.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to ask you. I just want to look at it this way for a second because you're pretty hard on yourself. I'm going to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
You are.
I think I am.
You
Yeah.
are. When you said it would be too hard, it might be too hard. It might be too hard to do. You keep saying it. You're reiterating. I just want to take a minute and ask you, because I'm curious. What does your life look like if you stop drinking? What would your life look like if you stopped drinking?
I guess on one side of the coin, I would think it would be better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have to worry about these, the DUI and all the things that come with that, um, and I guess the other side would be how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to get over what's gone on, and the days I don't have anything to do, like hockey or volunteering or whatever. Now, what do I do with my time? And I feel like I'm just might as well, drink. Right here, I am. I'm home now, so that's kind of
Okay.
could go either way.
Okay. So if I ask you that question again, but we try to reframe this only positively.
Then I would stay away from the alcohol. Obviously.
What would your life look like? What would it look like if you didn't have
it'd
the
look
alcohol?
it'd look more fun. There'd be more to do, and
Okay.
I'd be able to get away from just sitting at home drinking every
fun.
single day.
It would be full.
Fun, full.
What sorts of things would you fill your time with?
Like I said, just those hockey games when they're available in the different volunteering leagues.
And how do you think that would make you feel?
Oh, I just have a blast,
Yeah.
Yeah, just it's been a long time. That's all.
Okay. It sounds like you have the passion to reestablish some of these things into your life.
Oh yeah, it'd be nothing but positivity if I went into it. For sure, yeah.
That's a wonderful word.
Yeah.
Positivity. All right. We're going to look at the other half of the coin.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you, what does your life look like if you don't do something about your drinking? What would the consequences be? What does your life look like if you continue to drink?
Just go downhill, I guess. The wife doesn't really complain much about it, but maybe she would start one day. The worst if it gets worse. Maybe then it becomes a problem. Maybe another DUI. Maybe it gets harder, and I need to drink more and more and more. It could be pretty bad.
It could be. It could be very bad.
Yeah.
So listening to those two options, which one sounds better to you?
The positive one for sure. Having fun, getting out with the boys. That would be great.
That sounds wonderful.
Worked before.
It worked before.
So that would definitely help.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you know what might work for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause it's worked in the past.
So, very good. Good for you that you know that. So in the beginning, you talked about how confident you were that you can make a change. And you came up with
5 out of 10.
a 5 out of 10. How about now? What do you think now?
Well, after kind of talking about it for a few minutes, I don't know, maybe a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty confident. Not 100%. 6 or a 7.
Yeah, 6 or a 7 is much better.
Yeah.
A 6 or a 7 is much better.
Yeah.
It's much better. So we talked a little bit about how positive it would be for you to get back into the church, how you get back to volunteering, hockey, friends,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I just want to bring that back to the beginning. We established that core belief that you were alone. You're alone.
Right, because I have been, but I wasn't before, right? So if I can stick to those things and get out and do these things, I wouldn't be alone anymore.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to
And then maybe
reestablish
I
some
don't have to.
positive connections in your
Yeah.
life.
And then maybe in those connections, I don't have to worry. It wouldn't be so hard to get through the days, you know?
Because you would have a support system as well, which is a beautiful thing. Everybody needs one of those.
Yeah, I just haven't had it in the last little while because I've struggled, right? But
Yeah.
if I can get into that,
So I think if you're willing to come to another session, we have a few more things to discuss about, but perhaps in next session, maybe we could discuss a little bit about your marriage because we're
Right.
talking about a support system and the word alone is coming up a lot.
Yeah.
But you have mentioned that you do have a wife.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Are you feeling supported in that relationship?
I mean, she pretty much keeps to herself and just lets me, do my thing after work.
Okay.
That's kind of the dynamic. So,
Okay. We
Yeah.
can discuss more on that next time if you're
Okay.
comfortable with that.
yeah.
But I think thus far you've done fantastic. We've gotten some beautiful information. I do urge you though this week to go through my recovery is at risk
Yes, the homework.
when you
yes.
see the triggers. I will give you a copy of it as well. It's written down. You can just
Fill it
note
out,
it.
okay?
Yeah. And then my recovery is strong when. Okay, I'm also going to give you a copy of a CBT log. It looks very fancy,
Oh, look at that.
but it's not.
Ah.
I assure you, you could do this in a notebook as well.
Okay.
All you're going to do is you're going to write down your situation, Bob.
Okay.
Are you comfortable doing stuff like this? Like, have you any other ideas of what you would rather do?
I'll try that too.
Okay, so it's almost the same as the recovery is at risk or the recovery is strong, but this you're going to put down the situation. So all you're going to write down are the facts of what happened. You can just put them down. It does not
What
have
happened?
to,
Okay,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be in a column like this. You can just
Okay.
jot it down. How it made you feel. How it made you feel.
Okay.
Because I want to know how it made you feel, like on a 1 to 10 scale. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And your physical feeling. So before we talked about the stress, say you're feeling anxious and you can feel your heart race, you're feeling
Okay.
sweaty, any physical feeling that might accompany it. Then the next category is unhelpful thoughts. Okay. So that would be like just a note on the thought you're having. Is it an avoidant behavior? Do you find you're running for something? Is it compulsive? Compulsive in the sense like the drinking would be a compulsive behavior because it's something you're kind of running towards.
Okay.
Like an ongoing. And then the alternative thought. So when you have a thought that is unhelpful or a thought that is negative or something like that, it's not true, right?
Right.
Then you're going to sit there and say, what would I say to a friend? Just like we did
Which would
earlier.
probably be a little bit nicer thing to say.
Yes, what would I say to a friend? If a friend said, I'm alone, I'm different, I don't feel like anybody understands me, what would you say to that friend?
Hey, I'm here. I understand you. Right? So, but I wouldn't say it to myself though because of the thoughts. So I gotta find a way around it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But maybe if a friend said, I'm all alone and nobody likes me, that's not true. You're lovable.
Right.
And you're worthy, right? So you're just gonna look at it whenever you find you're having that negative self-talk or you're being very critical of yourself. You're gonna look at it from a different perspective. What would a friend say to me in this moment, right? Or what would I say to a friend? That kind of thing.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then the next thing you're gonna write down is the alternative behavior. So this trigger happens,
Right.
what could I do instead? Like, what's an alternative behavior I could do?
Instead of the bad one.
Yeah.
Okay.
A healthy alternative behavior. Could I go for a walk until the craving is down? Could I reach out to a friend? Could I organize a hockey game? Could I volunteer for an hour? Could I journal? Could I write down in my CBT log until I calm down?
Okay.
Anything like that. Anything that you could do as a healthy alternative, right? Make some time for me, do a bit of a meditation, or you said you went to church, perhaps pray, whatever, just a healthy alternative, okay? And then after you do that, you're going to write down your feeling. When you have your alternative thought and behavior, you're going to write down how you feel. Like, how do you feel after your shift in thinking or behavior?
Okay.
And you're going to rate that as well from a 1 to 10.
Okay.
And you're going to look at that, how you feel now on your 1 to 10.
Okay.
And then you're going to compare it to the beginning of what happened and how you felt at the beginning.
So the 1 to 10 at the beginning and the 1 to 10 at the end.
You got it.
And
And quite often you'll find they're very different after you've gone through
sounds
this.
like once you've gone through all that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a copy of this just so you have something on hand, and it's just an easy reference.
It's a good reference, yeah.
It'll make your week a little bit easier, I think. It's something useful.
Okay.
Does that sound like something you might be able to do?
I will try it for sure, yeah. It's something to try, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Anything you want to tell me? Anything I've missed? Anything you want to discuss?
No, I guess that's a good start.
It's a wonderful start.
And that's some decent exercises, I guess, throughout the week. I'll have to give a try.
Yes, you're going to be very good at them.
Okay.
This is, you manage a store. This will be small potatoes to keep these journals as opposed to
so nice little 5-minute exercises instead of other things.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate you coming in today. If you ever want to have another session, my door is always open. And I'm going to make sure you get copies of all these resources before you leave today, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to put them at the front for you.
Okay, thank you. I'll make sure to grab that.
You're very welcome. Thanks again, Bob.
Thank you.
Take care.